What would you do if you knew exactly which crypto industry was going to take off in this bull run? Or you thought you knew exactly which one was going to move first? Well, in 2021, we look back and we see that it was DeFi, gaming, layer one meme coins. I believe those moved first, if I'm not mistaken. This run, I think it's going to be DeFi, and I'm going to get into two that I really think you need to take a look at because of recent news. I just did a whole video and a summary. I did a week series on borrow-lend protocols. In 4 days, I went over many of them. I put them in categories. I'll put a link down below. You'll see this thumbnail here of the conclusion episode that came out Saturday. I think it's worth taking a look at least the conclusion video. I went through them very quickly. If you would, please like this video. Do subscribe. Also, follow me on X if you're on X. And take a look at my new crypto school. There's a link down below. I've got a QR code here. What's new is my intro video where I discuss what you get in the crypto school. It has a monthly fee. We go over discussions, we go over cryptos, and there's a lot of courses. At the end, I'll go all through it. Okay, decentralized finance. In my opinion, that will be the first and best industry to move during this hopefully upcoming bull run. If not the first and the best, it's got to be one of the top three. Now, in DeFi, I put in all sorts of things like the borrow lend I just talked about, decentralized exchanges, RWA, anything finance related, I lump under decentralized finance. I think it's going to be huge. So if you're like me and you've been buying, getting ready for this hopefully bull run again for quite a while, and quite a while meaning maybe a year or two, you probably have bought some, sold some, moved things around. And as it looks like we're getting closer, maybe you want to move things around a little more. So what am I doing and why am I doing it? I am moving things around because I'm looking at which ones seem to be making the most progress in 2025. There's limited amount of time. And to make big progress, they're very similar to, I would say, startups. I'm going to talk about Aerodrome Finance. I'm going to talk about Morpho because they're both related and they've both made huge advancements because of their relationships with Base, or I should say Coinbase. I've talked about them both before. I'm not going to get into them. I'm just going to tell you why I'm interested and we'll look at their pricing. I've got many videos, if you look at my channel, talking about Aerodrome, talking about Morpho. In a nutshell, first, Aerodrome, decentralized exchange. Second, Morpho, borrow-lend protocol. Now, I, as you know, have had many startups myself. One of my first ones, an online startup, we had a mall, we had email lists, permission-based email lists. As people were using our software, shopping online, we would get their email addresses. People would pay us to send them messages. We're all familiar with that kind of marketing. Let's say we grew at 3,000 people a day. So we could easily do the math and say, well, in a month, we'd get about 90,000 people. What if we wanted to grow faster? Well, typically with startups, and cryptos are exactly the same, you're either going to grow, let's say, in one of two buckets, either internally or externally, factors. Internally would be, we have a particular wallet or we have a website where users can do X, Y, and Z. Let's add more functionality. The decentralized exchange, they might add some new functionality. They talk about it, they roll it out, and they hope that they can gain more users and the current users stick around longer. That is usually going to help growth, but slowly if you were to look at a curve. Then there's external factors. You can do deals with others. So back to my analogy, we realized growing by 90,000 a month, and then 90 times 12 was that 1,080,000 maybe, in terms of a year, wasn't as fast as we wanted to grow. So we partnered with others. We combined lists. We did things, it was all permission based. It was all done properly. Maybe they were clicking another button, but by partnering, instead of growing by 1 million in a year, we were growing by 4 or 5 million in a year. Okay. How does that relate to, let's say, Aerodrome? Aerodrome here is around a 2 billion valuation, market cap around 1 billion. They allow you to exchange one thing for another, and Coinbase decided to choose Aerodrome and use them in the Base app. You may have heard about this recently. My understanding from what I've read is they've only done about 5 to 10%. They've only rolled it out to to about 5 to 10%. So of the people using the base, they've got 100 million users, I understand, or more. They're probably the second largest, that is Coinbase, and only a 5 to 10 million people have had the Aerodrome network rolled out in the background of that base app, such that when they're buying and selling and exchanging, they're using Aerodrome. Okay. Aerodrome could have added some cool features, and I'm sure they're updating and making changes, and their growth would have been like this. But because of this deal, I believe their growth is now going to go like this, just straight up, because they've got access to a fire hose shooting 100 million eyeballs and people at them. And they're unleashing that gradually. That is a huge deal. That was really smart. The other thing is, and I posted this on X, let me show you something here. Aerodrome had this recent post where they said, and this was just this weekend, in the last 24 hours, Aerodrome captured the top Bitcoin pool on Base, generating 3 times as much as the comparable pool on mainnet with a quarter of the TVL. They're comparing it to Uniswap. And I put it into, let's just call it English, because that was somewhat technical. They said they had 3 times the trading volume. What did that mean? The Aerodrome's Bitcoin pool saw about 3 times more trading activity, people buying and selling, than the Bitcoin pool on the Ethereum blockchain, Uniswap. Last 2021, Uniswap, that one was the main exchange, and it took off. I can't remember. It may have grown by like 20,000%, something crazy. Secondly, only a quarter of the TVL, which is the total value locked, of the money sitting in the pool to support trading. Aerodrome's pool only needed a quarter of the money that the mainnet's pool had. They were able to do more with less. They had less total value locked, but yet they were able to do more exchanges and more volume. Because of that, they were 10 times more efficient. A quarter of the value, 3 times the trading volume, allowed it to be 10 times more efficient than what the Uniswap was doing. To me, that's fascinating. So that, along with the fact that they're now baked into Coinbase, which they've talked about for a while this year, and it just recently happened. Let's look at their price. $1.12 at the moment. You can see I just threw on some fib lines. They haven't been out that long. If these are correct, the 100% and the highest it's been recently was almost $2.40, like $2.30. They're at $1.12. So that's a 2x just to get to that 100% line. There's usually consolidation and selling around there. The next fib line would be close to 3.6. That's like a 3x. In my mind, it's a no-brainer. Their total value, fully diluted value, is $2 billion. And I think their trading volume is just going to go through the roof. I think they're going to do extremely well in the category of decentralized finance. And I think the category of decentralized finance is going to do one of the best, biggest percentage gain moves in all of crypto. Who knows? Maybe gaming, maybe meme. But for me, I love utility. This is one I think will do well. Let's talk about Morpho. Now, here's what's interesting with Morpho. If we look at DeFi Llama, total value locked in decentralized finance is 150 billion total. If we look at Ethereum, it's about 90 billion, over 50%. Not surprised. So of all the value locked in every chain, Ethereum is more than half. That's why we know Ethereum is so valuable. Base is actually a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. Base has 4.6 billion locked. Morpho is actually operating on 22 different chains. They're not solely on Base. And if we click into Morpho, look at this. 7.5 billion locked. Let's just call it 8. Let's round up even though we should round down. Let's round up and call it 8 for easy math. Because Ethereum was 80 billion or 89 billion. So roughly speaking, Morpho is doing 1/10 of Ethereum, which means it's doing 1/20 of the entire decentralized finance. That counts all chains. Solana, Sui, you name it. Of all the value locked, 1/20 of it is in Morpho and their borrow lend. And why am I talking about them? Because Coinbase chose them to be the protocol of choice. When you're using Coinbase and you've bought Bitcoin that way, 100 million people or more, not necessarily bought Bitcoin, but using Coinbase, and they want to hold it and take a loan against it, Personally, I believe that's going to be huge in the future. I think a lot of people are going to want to hold their assets and take loans against it. They're going to be doing it through Morpho. So all of those people, same thing as Aerodrome, now they're pointing this fire hose towards this protocol. Can Morpho come up with new cool features and grow like this? Yes. Did they also cut a deal and do a deal with Base where they can grow like this? It appears so. So these are two that I've rolled into by moving out of Ethereum. Why would I do that? I think Ethereum's great. I think Ethereum's going to go higher. If Ethereum's around 4,400, 2x would be 8,800. 3x would be 13.2. Those, to me, are huge numbers to do a 2 and a 3x. I hope it hits a 2x. I don't know. I think it'll be 7,000 to 8,000. We'll see. Do I think it'll 3x? That's a tough one. Eventually, yes. In the next couple months, I don't believe so. But if we look at Aero, do I think it's going to 2x? Absolutely. That's just to hear. Do I think it'll 3x? Personally, I don't think it's a problem. Morpho, chart's looking exactly the same. So from my opinion, what am I doing getting ready for the bull run? I'm trying to find the best industries that are going to move. I'm trying to find the top crypto in those industries, particularly the ones that have done great things recently, like done deals to have 100 million people now pointed at their protocol, or at least to be in front of those 100 million to give them the opportunity to use it. That's invaluable. And I'm moving money out of crypto's opportunity cost. I don't have unlimited funds. So I'm moving out of things like Ethereum that have already 2 to 3x for me. And I'm moving into something like this. If you watch my other videos, or if you're in my crypto school, you know we talk about various strategies. One of them is the strategy of simple multiplication. If I get a 2x on my Ethereum and I move it into Aero and it gets a 3x, I've actually 6x'd my money. I got a 2x over here. My 1,000 became 2. I put my 2,000 in here. I got a 3x. My 2,000 became 6. So my 1,000 became 6,000. That's a 6x. I find it easier to get a 2x and a 3x than a 6x. But if you do it right, and you roll one from the other, you ultimately have obtained a 6x. If that doesn't make sense, take a look at my videos. I've got a strategy video on it. And in my crypto school, I've got many different strategy videos on various ways you can use, whether it be taking loans out or some type of leverage or just simple math like that, rolling using opportunity cost from one that's gained. And I say, you know what? I got a 2x in Ethereum, but the odds I believe of it going to do a 3x from here, I don't think so. Aero and Morpho, I think so. So I'm moving it. And I hope for, in total, at least a 6x. And actually, my expectations are much higher. As always, I hope this is helpful. Thank you for watching. Please do listen to my crypto school and just click that link or that QR code. Listen to my video. Tell me what you think in the comments down below as I explain crypto school. I think it's extremely valuable for those that are interested in their future and realizing that crypto is the financial future. Let's debank. Let's get away from banks. Let's control our money ourselves and not let other banks and or governments control it for us. Please listen to my crypto school. Have a great day. Love how I break things down? Then hop into my crypto school. You'll get step-by-step courses on everything. Buying, selling, staking for yield, borrowing, lending, even going fully debanked. Plus, join lively crypto chats and catch my daily market updates. And lastly, if you just want to help support the channel, there's a join button just below this video.